Hi, my name is Luis Daniel Soto. I'm going to show you in the next 10 minutes a demo on big data. So it all starts with collecting data and then finding the right data, combining it to do some analysis and visualization to discover the insights, all this in a very short period of time. So let me move into Excel. Here I have line of business data, which is basically a building ID and the building description and some geolocation information. So I'm going to bring in some additional data. Here on the Power Query tab, I can grab data from popular formats, XML, comma-separated files, multiple popular sources out there, or web standards where I can grab information and different repositories. In this case, I'm going to choose Hadoop as a service. So my cluster is called sensor data, and I'm going to connect directly to it. I'm going to say edit this information, and here I have multiple files. This one in the middle, energy, has the information for the last year, and I'm going to first promote this first row as headers. The system already tried to make sense of the information. It added some columns. These are seldomly used, so I'm just going to remove these as well as encrypted information. I'm going to confirm that this gets treated as numerical information and the data as well as has the right format. So all these steps that I manually did are listed on the right side of the screen and can be reproduced later without any human intervention. So this is saved now. So I have pooled data, actually 6,500 rows almost from data. This information is not very easy to read. So one easy way to work around this is I'm going to merge this information with the previous starting line of business data that I had. So I just choose the building ID to create a join. And here I'm going to add, the general information about the positioning except the number of floors, which I don't really care. And this is called merge one, and I'm going to save it. So now I have multiple measurements and I have the name of the building. Let's grab some last data set. This time around I'm going to use search. I could search on a private repository of data sets, or I could just go public, let's say Redmond, Washington, weather information. And here we'll see the icons represent different vendors that have data. This W means this comes from Wikipedia. Wikipedia alone has over 3 million data sets, but we have over 15,000 providers already here. I'm going to double click on this, which is the most simple example. So for every month, I have the low, high temperature and the average. So what I'm going to do is once more combine this information that I pulled from the cluster, from the Hadoop cluster, and I'm going to combine this information with this data set. So I'm just going to use the key, but this time around I don't need all the data that's in here. So I'm going to deselect all except the mean average temperature. So here we have it, and let me zoom in. There's still a problem on this data. It's still not usable because it has a degrees Fahrenheit. So I need to either split by the limiter or by number of characters. In this case, I'll just do the 2 characters, but it can be replacing the symbol, the degree symbol. And I'm going to rename this as temp just to make it easier. So it's done. We have combined 3 data sets: line of business data, big data, and open data. Now, this is not really easy to read in here, but we have a great visualization tool. So let's launch Power Map. And I'm going to create something completely from a blank page. So I'm going to accept the latitude and longitude that the system recommends. I'm going to add some map labels, so you can see this is the Redmond Campus in here. I'm going to say, hey, I want to see the energy. The information, I'm going to make this a little more adjust the parameters to make this a little more readable. And certainly, I can see here this energy consumption, but it's not very friendly to the human eye. The first thing is, what is this exactly? This is, I want to take a look at the average temperature. I'm going to add the date. When I add the date, note there's a slider. And if I click on the slider, I can see already an animation over the periods of time and the energy consumption. This is still not easy to read, but if I add the column, the building number in here, and I step in here, okay, this column is building 37, building 43. There's a lot of consumption here on the commons mixers, which is actually the restaurant area inside Microsoft. So this is getting easier to read, but let's add some more complexity to it. Let's bring a second layer. And again, I'm going to use lat long, but this time around I'm going to chart what I bring from the open data, which is the temperature. And I'm going to choose to do this as a heat map. Let me zoom in again into the region. And I'm going to adjust the parameters as well, just to make this information more visible. And here I'm going to also add the date. So what we have now is the temperature when external it's colder, it will get a spike of energy within the buildings. It's not totally easy to read in here, but I just wanted to show how easy it is to create a chart. Now, once you really have some questions, you basically jump into the what we call the natural language query tool. So for this data set that I just presented, I saved this on SharePoint, and I now can type total energy. And this is the total kilowatts per hour consumption for the whole campus. But I can do by building. We already know some things here. Bravern, it's a 4-story building on Bellevue. It has a lot of people in there, a lot of energy consumption. But other like building 40, 121 are smaller. Maybe some of these have data centers. But I can make sense. I can ask a question and the system will create the best report that works for this type of data. So if I change this to by date, then we can find something actually that's very simple. During November to March, on winter, the energy consumption goes up. What happened here on this valley? Well, September, third week. Turns out that was the week that Steve Ballmer gave his last company meeting on Seattle, so no one was really here. Everyone was there, and that reflected in the system. So if I type a little more complex question like total energy versus people by building, well, you can see the Bravern and the Commons both consume a lot of energy. We know that the Commons, there's no one working, so this is reasonable. But now I can start making sense of other outliers. For example, building 121, this is one of the older buildings. How does it compare to the new one? And I'm on building 109, so I can say building 121 versus building 109, the newer one. And certainly there's a big difference in here. But it might be possible that the consumption through the year is as efficient as during the winter on newer buildings. Maybe, so let's just replace this by date. And here, yes, we can prove that actually building 109, the newer one, the energy consumption is not that high during winter, but on 121 there are many spikes in here, and probably there was a problem with the air conditioning system in here already, or on the settings for the weekend, because there were some spikes on a time where probably it was not expected. So I can get the insights from any data very easily. That's what big data is about. By the way, if we want to learn more about all the projects that Microsoft did on energy saving, you can just search for 88 acres over the internet and jump into the information. But this is Power BI, Edge Insight, and the power of BI.